Deep within the executive suites of a premier global tennis event, staff members are quietly bracing for a surge of energy they didn't initiate and can't entirely manage. The catalyst is a 21-year-old athlete without a major trophy, prompting the only relevant inquiry before competition begins in Mason, Ohio. Why does a tournament featuring icons like Aryna Sabalenka, Mira Andreeva, and defending victor Iga Swiatek feel compelled to focus on this one individual and prepare for her impact? The Cincinnati Open doesn't require more stars. It possesses legends already, which makes its official announcement quite unique. The tournament highlighted her and Brazilian prospect João Fonseca for commanding the most intense and vocal fan bases in tennis. That isn't just PR spin from a social media account. It is an established body conceding that it has identified a force it cannot govern, a phenomenon that transcends rankings, resembling a movement more than a typical following. Call her Alex, as her home nation does, with a sense of personal ownership. In a few days she enters a transformed venue, a sprawling site overhauled by a massive $260 million project with upgraded courts and fan zones, making it more of a festival than a match. In 2025, the event drew a record 285,000 spectators from 65 countries. This year, organizers are preparing for nearly 300,000. Qualifying starts August 11th, and the final follows on the 23rd. Amidst this massive infrastructure, a Filipina enters bearing the collective dreams of a nation that has waited years for this, a country usually known for hoops and boxing, but never center-court glory. Here is where the pressure resides. It's worth considering that none of this ensures success. National flags don't hit returns. Chants don't rescue match points. A massive site renovation doesn't strike a winner. If she exits early, the buzz vanishes instantly, becoming just another narrative that faded when the lights got bright. One more athlete who was famous before she was a champion. So why do people believe she is different? Because weeks ago in Washington, this theory was tested, and the result was undeniable. Before play started, the chairman noted that 80% of inquiries weren't about the event, but about one thing. When is Alex playing? That isn't the buzz for a newcomer. It's the focus reserved for a singular phenomenon. A person people build their entire calendars around before she even hits a ball. Then she nearly stumbled. In her first match against Zheng Xinwen, she dropped the first set and trailed in the second. For a moment, it seemed like the hype was outlasting the reality. Then, almost imperceptibly, the tide turned. She fought back, pushed it to a final set, and dominated Zheng 6-1. It wasn't a close call, it was a statement. The crowd intensified after the victory, not just before it. Belief earned through struggle lasts longer than belief borrowed from trends. She kept winning until she faced Jessica Pegula in the final, a veteran and Grand Slam finalist who should have held the advantage. Alex lost the first set. Then rain halted play. Rain delays are uniquely cruel. They force a player to sit with their own insecurities, while the mind becomes a more dangerous rival than the person across the net. What did she do when play resumed? She took the second set, and then swept the third 6-love against a former world number 3. Upon that final point, she became the first Filipina to capture a WTA singles title, rewriting her country's athletic history in a single afternoon. But greatness offers no rest, only higher stakes. Every new tournament is now an opportunity to either thrive or disappoint. Before a title, deep runs are magical. Now, anything less feels like a letdown. That is the hurdle waiting in Cincinnati, a bigger stage with a tougher field. Recall Wimbledon, where this started. She was the first from the Philippines to reach the second week of a major in the modern era. On center court, she took down Iga Swiatek in a gritty tiebreak and a dominant second set. It wasn't just luck. It was a victory over a champion in front of a crowd that felt like a Filipino home game. Think of the logistics. People flying across the globe to the most exclusive venue just to support her. That is identity-based devotion, which doesn't fade with a loss, like typical fandom. A strong grass season pushed her to a career-best ranking of 28. A year ago, people wondered if she could reach the top 100. Now the question is how high she can go, and how fast rivals must adapt to her. In a mid-season fan poll, she took 90% of the vote. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens when a nation mobilizes to declare who represents them. Now Cincinnati arrives at a critical junction. A record crowd is expected at a rebuilt venue filled with legends. Every win has raised the bar for the next, and high expectations are a mental opponent that doesn't appear on the scoreboard until it's too late. Can she carry the hope of a nation into a draw of major champions? Can she shift from being the underdog to the one being hunted? Can she play as if no one is watching? No one has the answer yet. That is why it is compelling. Elite sport is gripping because of the uncertainty surrounding someone who has already done the extraordinary. If she were unknown, an early loss wouldn't matter. But she is a champion now. A player who conquered the world's top seed on its most famous court. Every match carries a weight that didn't exist a year ago. That pressure will either define her or derail her. Perhaps that's why the flags keep appearing. Not for a guaranteed win, but because she has proven that when things are bleakest, she finds an extra gear. It's a pattern that turns an athlete into a phenomenon. People plan their trips and vacations around this 2-week window because they trust her grit more than a ranking list. When the stadium lights ignite in Cincinnati, and the first flags rise among the hundreds of thousands, remember how this began. Remember the inquiries in Washington, the comeback against Zheng, and the merciless final set against Pegula. Remember the center court victory that the tour didn't see coming. None of this was willed by a crowd. It was earned point by point. Cincinnati is just the next proving ground against a field of legends. Whether she captures the trophy or exits early isn't the core mystery. The real question is how she handles the split second before the pressure becomes too much. The moment between the crowd going quiet and the ball leaving her racket. That is where her greatest victories are born. And in a few days, we get to witness her enter that moment again. No one can predict the outcome, which is exactly why the world is watching.